G'day guys, thanks for watching. On today's episode, we're going to talk about drive clutches and how they work and how you can adjust them. I got a question on YouTube from someone, how to adjust Cox drive clutch. Now, the Cox, the Bush Ranger, the new Bush Ranger, the Super Swift and the Scott Bonner all share a very similar setup. And this is how you adjust all of them. The same basic principles for all of them, but basically this is how you do it. And I'll show you now on the Scott Bonner, but remember, like I said, this can be transferred across to all the others as well. So let's have a look at the Scott Bonner and get into it. Okay, so basically this is a mower that's half stripped down at the moment. We're just waiting on a few bits and pieces. So look, what happens is you've got drive from your motor, which comes out here, spins the chains around and then drives this part here. So it just spins freely, as you can see there. Now, generally speaking, there's a bolt that runs from there and all the way through to there and holds it in place. Basically what happens then is when you squeeze here, right, it pulls this across. I'll show you now. Okay. Which in turn puts pressure on this bolt and squeezes this together, which causes this to drive your rear chain there. Because at the moment, if it spins freely, it's doing nothing. When you clamp it, it drives. So I'll show you a bit about setting it up now and how it works, but basically that's how it works. So inside you've got a flat piece with a bearing that rolls around, and you've also got a drive core, as you can see there. And that's the friction material that grabs on that creates drive. I did forget to mention as well that the Maz ports are also a very similar setup as well. They have the same sort of function as the Model 45, the Cox, all of those. Okay, so how do we set this up? So basically, we've got to put this back on, okay? So that will marry up. Now, I'll show you the next step. Okay, so we talked about it before. You've got this bolt, okay, that goes through and attaches everything up. So we're going to install that now. Remembering it's got a hardened, thicker washer just on the end there to actually start the clamping process. So that goes in. I'll bring you now around here so you can look at this side of things and see how it works. So I'll just tilt you down. So you can see the bolts come through there, okay? So line it up with the little hole, as you can see there, and you put the other nut on, okay? Now, bearing in mind that on the Scott Bonner, these are two 7/16 headed bolts to tighten up. On other mowers are different size, like the Cox runs a 10 mil. Anyway, that's how it works. So I'll tighten that up now and show you how to do that. Okay, so there's the top view, as you can see there. So basically what you want to do is hold one side and we're going to tighten the other side up, okay? Now, this bolt does not need to be super tight. If you have this bolt super tight and squeezing all the time, you're going to have drive all the time. So you need to have it a bit loose. Some people have them too loose and they don't get enough clamping force out of their drive. But basically, I'll show you around now what I mean, the difference between too tight and too loose. So have a look here. This is probably pretty perfect. So as you can see there, you've got a bit of movement and that spins free. So as that's spinning, it's not trying to turn that cork at all. There's not enough friction grabbing that to turn it. So as soon as you squeeze that trigger up the top here, start the driving process. You can see that chain now moving. Okay, so if you have it, and that gives you quite a nice feel on your hand there as well. Now basically, if you have it too tight, this is what happens. So let's just go nip it up slightly. So that's not even spinning anymore, okay? Every time I spin that, it wants to drive. Okay, you see that? So it's too tight. So you want to get it to this stage where it's driving. It's too tight and back it off, which we'll do now. Okay, we got that spinning. and that's now spinning freely. And that's good to go now. The only other thing you may need to do is adjust here. So sometimes there's too much play in here as it moves. So you need to pull this back or forward, depending on where it is, but you should be able to look at that and figure it out. So basically that's how you do it. That's how you adjust these things. That's a pretty quick example of how to do it, but they're pretty basic. So if you've got any questions, ask me. But that's basically how you're going to set it up. And like I said, this does go for a lot of the models. Now, quickly, I will note one point. I think it's probably beneficial to note this because it's something that I've personally experienced and something that I've been able to repair. So the Super Swifts have a problem with their drive corks. It's as simple as that. They are a really rubberized cork. Instead of being like a really pure cork like the Scott Bonners and other brands that I've worked on, they're really rubberized. And what happens over time is that rubber heats up, it delaminates from that cork, it fills up that whole assembly with like a black residue, yucky, rubbery type stuff, and then creates a really bad squealing noise. The only way to fix that is to buy a non-genuine, like a GA spares type cork and fit that, glue it on, and then happy days, because that's the drama. You can go back to your dealer, you can replace it with one of their genuine ones, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have the same problem. So bite the bullet. They're not expensive. They're about $10 or something like that, and get a cork one from GA Spares or Brisbane Cylinder Mowers or George Bond Mods. They have it as well at Moparts Oz. So yeah. Anyway, thanks again for watching, guys. I hope this has cleared up a few things for you guys and for the guys that have asked the questions. So hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'll see you on the next one.